My name is Ilia. I'm a JavaScript developer. I work in Evolution company, and we write games. And I'm already Java. I wrote in JS already for 5 years, and I use React for my projects already in 3 years. Yeah, and I am interested in all is related to computer science, JavaScript, of course, math, artificial intelligence, Python, and so on. Yeah, it's small information about me. So let's start about Svelte, actually. It's a slide about survey in Stack Overflow site. I think you all know this site. There was a survey last years, and 2021 year Svelte was the most loved web framework. And this year Svelte is on second place. But I think it's very cool because it's more popular than ASP.NET, for example, like React, also Angular, Vue. Yeah, I think it's a really good result. So let's discuss about principles of work Svelte. Yeah. When you use Svelte, first of all, I want to say that you just have to write less code. And Svelte has a little bit different syntax than native pure JS, vanilla JS. There are small differences, and it's actually very cool differences. We will see a little bit later. It shorts our code to very good way. We call it, for example, something like Svelte script. Yeah. For example, let's see to this small application. It's React application. We have just two simple inputs. We have we can type something in these inputs, and we have two handlers. Yeah, we have two states. It's just usual application. Okay. So let's see how looks this application in Svelte. Cool. I think, yeah, much less code, and this code is I would say, there is one cool book about JavaScript, Eloquent JavaScript, as I remember, by Marijn Haverbeck, and yeah, I would say that this code is actually eloquent, very elegant, very tiny, yeah. And it's cool because you can use bindings. We see that we don't have here any handlers, and it's cool. Of course, in Svelte, we will discuss later that what Svelte is. That Svelte is compiler actual, not just usual framework. And okay, let's discuss a little bit later. But of course, we will have these handlers in real code, in output code that Svelte produce. But it's hidden somewhere under the hood. But by my opinion, looks cool. So we can see that we have import in React, and in Svelte we don't have imports. And it's good because we don't have any dependencies. And in our production code, in our output, we also will not have dependencies. It's of course we can have, but it's not obligated. We will not have React library as dependency and ReactDOM library. Yeah. State. It's cool that in Svelte we can just use simple JavaScript variables. It's obviously it's a usual JavaScript variable A and B. And as you know, in React we have to use state and special functions for this set A and set B. Yeah. We will discuss how it works later. And yeah, we have to have two handlers in React, and in Svelte we have only two bindings. Yeah, that's it. So the most interesting, by my opinion, part is about VirtualDOM. That what is VirtualDOM? Actually, VirtualDOM is part of memory. It's just React just keep state of all components, state of components in memory, and we also have reconciliation algorithm. It's algorithm which decide which compare to virtual DOM structures, virtual DOM trees, and decides when we have to update something. Yeah, and this algorithm isn't very cheap. This algorithm has a lot of optimizations, but yeah, it isn't very cheap. Yeah, actually, as I remember, complexity is O or N. Yeah. So, and React can batch our renders to one. It's called commit stage. Many React renders can be can give us only one React commit, and it takes additional memory and CPU time. So let's see how it looks in Svelte. We don't have, as I said, virtual DOM at all, and you can say that how it's possible, no virtual DOM. So as I said, Svelte is compiler. It means that we just take our code, like Svelte script, and transform this to pure JavaScript. And Svelte looks for changes of variables in code while compiling, not in runtime. It's very important. And instead of doing this work, yeah, as I said, in runtime. And when Svelte applies necessary after this, then Svelte applies changes in real DOM. And it works faster because now we don't have virtual DOM tree. Yeah, and we don't need a virtual DOM. And Svelte actually don't make any changes in virtual DOM or in real DOM. Svelte produces code which we will fire, and this code will make changes. Yeah, Svelte, as we discussed, is compiler. And what actually compiler is? Let's discuss a little bit about this. Compiler is just usual computer program which transforms from one computer language to another. For example, C++ compiler transform from C++ code to binary code. TypeScript compiler from TypeScript to JS, and the same with Svelte from Svelte code to JS code. It's it's usual JavaScript code. It's cool. And how actually does Svelte compiler work? Yeah, first of all, there are some steps in this algorithm. First of this algorithm is parsing. Okay, I will show you some code. Yeah, it's just Svelte JS GitHub repository, and this is the compiler library in Svelte. I would say that it's the main part of Svelte. And something here. Yeah, it's a compiler function. It's the main function of Svelte. It actually compiles from. Oh, okay, let's discuss. In input we have source string. It's our code, our source code, and we will transform this code to with our algorithm to pure JS. Zoom in. Good. Thanks. It works. Great. Magic. Uh-huh. It's okay now, yeah? Cool. Yeah, and here we transform our source. Source, as I said, it's just usual string. Yeah. And we parse our code to IST. What is IST? IST is abstract syntax tree. It's structure, I think, in most languages, or for example, V8, we also have IST. And let's see how it looks like. For example, it's just a sandbox for Svelte in official Svelte site, svelte.dev. And we can see here, yeah, it's here, REPL, if somebody want to code something. Yeah, it's just usual Svelte application, hello world, nothing special. But here we can see IST output tab, yes? And we have several tabs, HTML, CSS, and instance. And instance, this is exactly our parsed from usual string, from usual text, this part. Yeah, from to structure like tree. Yeah, it's our parsed nodes, where this node start, where end, type of this node, and so on, and children of this node. Yeah, I think you understood the idea. Okay, let's go further. On the next step, okay, now we have already parsed abstract syntax tree, and the next step is static analysis. On this step, we collect all information about our application. This step will produce. Okay, we analyze which variable change and how they affect on the visual state of our component. And when these dependencies change, the component is notified about these changes, and we will render our application. We will see these changes, and this is the goal of Svelte. Yeah, and variable became reactive only if it's needed. If only this variable is changed in our code. Let's see how it. Yeah, it's here. Here we create component, and abstract syntax tree is here as input. And let's see how looks our component. On the right part of slide, you can see component class. It has a lot of data about all our output application. Svelte traverse abstract syntax tree of script section, first of all. Then Svelte tracks mutations when we mutate some data. And after this, Svelte traverse our abstract syntax tree of template, of HTML template part of our code and style part. And it's also very important that we don't need to use something like CSS modules, like in React, because all CSS is isolated in our component. Svelte adds special Svelte hash, Svelte with hash, additional class to each component, and we are sure that our styles of our component will be isolated. It's cool, like CSS modules out of the box. So yeah, let's go further. Now, and the final steps is rendering and code generating. It's actually what we want to see on input, on output. We want to get JavaScript code, actually. And let's see how it looks like. For example, it's all absolutely the same application, Hello World application, and here we can see what Svelte write to us. We can select generator, yes, like want DOM. What? Zoom in? Of course, yeah, I forgot. Thanks. Yes. Okay. So we can select between DOM and SSR, and so if we will select DOM, for example, we have this module, and in this module we can find application class. We can create instance of this application, and it's almost works like in React, for example. When we will create instance, we will inject some DOM node to our root, for example, layer. Yeah, and here is create fragment function. It's actually here we create DOM nodes. Yeah, it's function fires when we, as I remember, modify something, and so on. Yeah, and we can select SSR, and we will have also like string, yes, our code. And we also have the CSS input tab. Here, if we will have some styles, we will here, of course, we will have here styles also. So let's talk about when Svelte was released, in first releases, Svelte was named as disappearing framework. It's because Svelte has a few traces of Svelte actually in output code. For example, if we use React, in development mode, you can see here we have more than 1 megabyte code. In production, we have 138 kilobytes. I just create a simple React application. It's not with create React app, because when I tried to do this with create React app, it was much more kilobytes. It's just as minimum as possible. Yeah, and if you will make some just usual Hello World application in Svelte, it's just 3 kilobyte in production. It's cool. It's just helper functions actually, because as I said, you just have JavaScript functions in bundle. Yeah, and I want to add that this 138 kilobytes of JavaScript, it isn't the same like, for example, like picture of the same size, because there are a lot of reasons, because operation system has a lot of optimizations for pictures, because we have to make abstract syntax tree under the hood of V8, for example, engine, and make a lot of things with code, but not with picture. So, and let's see how it works in React. and in Svelte later. First of all, we have to download and parse React library, and then we can download and parse our application. Only after this, we can run React, run our application. And first VirtualDOM will be created only after this, yes. And only after our VirtualDOM will be created, we can apply our DOM changes first time, and we can see our application. And on changes, we will have new VirtualDOM and reconciliation algorithm will work, and only after this we will have real DOM changes. But it works in Svelte a little bit shorter and takes much less time, and it's cool because we don't have VirtualDOM, as I said, we don't have reconciliation algorithm, we have to just download and parse, of course, our application, just run an application, and we can apply to DOM changes. We can make DOM changes. And when we will have additional DOM changes in our application, we have to just, we will just apply these DOM changes, and that's it. So I prepared also a small demo about state. Oh, it's already zoomed. Cool, thank you. Yeah. So we have here a small application. Yeah, it's counter. We have here a counter, and let's see how it works. How we can increase counter. It's no set state functions and something like this. It's just usual native JavaScript variable. I will click this button, and counter will increase. We'll find yes, it's handler. As you can see, we just change our counter without additional functions. Svelte do this work for us. And also, if we will have numbers as array as our state, also, yeah, we can modify our state here, and it also works. Yeah, but it's interesting rule that we have to assignment to modify our inner state. Yeah. For example, I'm talking about this line of code. We of course here we modify our array, but we don't have assignment. And it's small trick in Svelte. We can write something like this. It's not good practice, I suppose, but we can do this. If we want to use push function, yeah, we can just write something like this, and it will be work. If we, okay, let's try. Okay, I can make so, and yes, not this. Yes, exactly. Yes. Okay, we can try here. Yes, it will not work, obviously. With this, it will. Yes, it works with delay. Yeah, we can use here set timeout in Svelte async functions, and it works good. Of course, we can write here something like this. Yes, here I mean, and it will work. Yeah, cool. And also we can mutate. For example, at our magic number, and we can modify only one item of our array, and it will work. Of course, it's cool. So let's go further. It was about reactive state and mutations, and let's talk about reactive declarations and statements. There is interesting syntax in Svelte. I told you that there is small differences in between just native JavaScript and Svelte script. And for example, this maybe some of you used this syntax. It's label from JavaScript. Somebody of you ever use this in real production code? Yeah. And I think this was the reason why people who create Svelte use this symbol, because nobody uses this. In JavaScript, you can use this in loops. Yeah. So, and let's see how it works and what is these statements. It's also application, Svelte application, and we have here numbers array, like state. And if we will modify by click this button, add here, yeah, we will add some new item, and it's cool. Here it's written that we have sum of our array, yes, and it's cool that this code will be fired when some of variables inside this statement will be changed. No, for example, numbers array will be changed, and this assignment will be run. Yeah, let's test. Yeah, it works. And it's also interesting that we can use also this block. Yeah, thanks. And this block will be fired. Yeah. It's like derived state. Yeah, for example, like something like this. It's very obviously. So let's go further. And it's also cool that we don't need any memoization at all. For example, mema, and we don't have to use mema, use callback, like in React. Let's see how it works. For example, it's example of use. Let's start with mema, first of all. Here we can see that we have a small application. Can you see this? Okay. Cool. Okay. We can see here just simple application. We have counter, and when we will click this button, our child have to be rendered, and we have to wrap with mema. It's just usual behavior of components, React components. Yeah. But okay, we can click, and we can see that this number is increasing. Yes, right now it's 6, 7, 9. Yeah, and in Svelte we don't have to use this, because we also has here two components: application component, it's like parent component, and child component, and we have a counter here, and we can see that if we will write handler for updates here and write something, this line of code will be written only once. Okay, we can clear, and nothing happens. Yes, we can reload page, and this is written only once. Nothing happens. It's just because this component, child component, mounted only once. Yeah, it's cool. So, and let's discuss. Let's talk about use callbacks and use mema. For example, the same situation. We have two components: child component and parent component. Our application, and we pass on-click function as prop. And in React, we have to wrap this handler with use callback. And if we want to use some of variables, for example, our counter in use callback, we have to use here counter. If we will use here counter, we have to write here our counter. This is exactly what we have to avoid, because this function will be created each time. And we have to use some wired things like use effect, and we have to use ref actually, because we want to get a new state. And yeah, we also have to use mema, and that's it. A lot of code. I think it's not very okay, in Svelte, you just don't need to use additional functions like callback, use mema, react.mema. You just can write code and don't think about this. It's cool, I think, because, for example, the same application, of course, one button, and it's our handler, and we don't have any special wrappers here. And it's also good that we can just get our counter. This counter will be in our. We will get this counter from JavaScript closure. It's just native JavaScript closure, and that's it. Yeah. Yes. Yes, of course. Yes, it's also before update handler, and we can pass here on click. It's if we write here export. Yes, it's property. It's props. Yes, maybe it's something unusual, of course, but if you, it's not hard to remember. Yes, it's prop. Okay, let's go further. And let's make conclusion. First of all, I want to say not all is so good, because, for example, in NPM we have a lot of packages for React, for Vue, for Angular, for example. I made this screenshots maybe 2 months ago, maybe, no, I think months ago, yes. And it's actually it's new data, yeah. And with Svelte we have much less, unfortunately, packages, but amount of these packages is growing, but not so fast, maybe. Oh, okay, number of these packages growing fast, but it's not so big amount. And let's discuss about pros and cons of Svelte. And yeah, and good thing is Svelte has better performance and better memory loading, because as we discussed, we don't have VirtualDOM and reconciliation algorithm, and we do a lot of things in compile time, not runtime, like in React. It's also cool that you can learn Svelte, I think, maybe 3 days, 4 days, something like this, maybe on your weekend. It's very good documentation, on official documentation, as I remember, with a lot of translations. Yeah, and with React, it's a little bit, maybe not a little bit different. You have to spend more time. And as we, I think, understand that Svelte is much more readable than React, and we will not have some additional libraries in our output code, in our bundle. Yeah, and cons, of course, not so big community of this framework. It's not so popular in business. It's obviously. And of course, not so many developers and knows about Svelte and has experience. Not so many job positions, and yeah, not so many employers wanted to hire developers, Svelte developers. And that's it. I'm waiting for your questions and answers. Thank you very much.
I have actually 3 questions. Did you try to migrate some React or Vue app to Svelte? Second question, is it easy to write a wrapper in Svelte for some pure JavaScript library? And third question, does it have mechanism of slots like in Vue.js? That's it.
Slots, yes. We have slots in Svelte, and it's like yeah, we have. And about libraries, what?
To wrap some JavaScript, pure JavaScript, Swiper, for example, JS. Is it easy?
As I remember, Swiper has made special library, Svelte library for.
But if you want to
yeah,
wrap,
of course you can. If it's just simple helper for calculate something, for example, you don't have any wrappers, of course. No, for example, some function, yeah. But of course, it's it's a task to make special.
And did you migrate, for example, old application on React to Svelte?
It's very. If you have, of course, a very big application, it's a very big decision. You have to think about. You have to think about this very good because, of course, it takes a lot of time for coding, and there is no special way to transform from React, special maybe transformer from React code to Svelte code. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, also 2 or 3 small questions. So one would be, what is your largest production or close to production experience with Svelte?
Yeah, I actually don't have a lot of production experience with Svelte. It was just my, yeah.
Okay. The second is, so Svelte limits you to 1 component per file because of this format. And it is discussed that it may be limiting for large applications because oftentimes you have like a tree and a tree leaf and a tree leaf content, and they don't need to be separate files. So the number of files grows. What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, maybe it's not very convenient. I agree with you. But it's Svelte syntax. You can... as I remember, you can include scripts in script code. Of course, export some functions, of course, but you have to keep this, make 1 component only in 1 file.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. And the final one is, also you've mentioned this, that Svelte isolates your styles by default, which is great, but what is the approach if you want to share some stuff between styles? Like you have this concept of mixing, so variables. With variables you can use CSS custom props, but you have a mixing that is a round, clickable, shadable button. How do you approach this with Svelte?
Yeah, I understand. Of course, Svelte has syntax to avoid this possibility to adding this cache, and you can make styles without this cache. Yeah, and include this to...
But then you will have all the styles global. What if I want to have the styles scoped, but I want to share the specific set of styles between 2 components?
Yeah, I think there is no possibility of... yeah.
Okay.
Of course, you can create... yeah.
Yeah, you can probably create the global classes and just use them, but
of course.
Not inside the framework. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Guys, let's not abuse Ilia. Just 2 more questions. No? Yeah? Now you're protective. I'm learning, right? So like...
Don't hear you.
Thank you for the presentation. 2 questions.
Okay. Okay.
Like a stupid one, are you a Reactaholic or a Svelteaholic?
No, now I am
You don't need to answer it, actually. But
okay, I think every library have to be applied only when it's necessary, and yeah, Svelte goods for mobile phones,
yeah,
for
good
example.
answer.
React is just cool.
Thank you. Just cool. And like more precise question: can you compile TypeScript in Svelte?
Of course, yes, of course. Svelte has native support of TypeScript. Yes, of course. But I heard that in first versions of Svelte there were problems with this because, yeah, big problems because it's completely different. But now now all is good and TypeScript is fully supported.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
One more question, come on, guys.
Okay.
Okay. Of course.
Yeah, hi. So my question was about the adoption in the business. So you said it's not like broadly adopted. And what are the reasons? Is it like, does Svelte has any limitations that don't work for enterprise? Or
No, of course
is
no.
it just because it's young?
Yes, because it's young and because not so lot of amount of developers, and yeah, because if you want to hire somebody, it's not so easy because market has much more React developers and maybe Vue developers, Angular. Yeah.
But you just said that it's better for mobile.
Yeah,
and
because
for bigger applications, maybe React would be better.
it's just because of I say so because of mobile phones not so performance good, yeah, and because as I said, you don't have to use VirtualDOM and other structures, and it runs faster, just faster. What? Of course.
So it's good for desktop and mobile.
Yeah. No, it's faster. It's faster. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. If you have some more questions, he will not be able to run away. So it's totally fine. You may ask them.
Yeah, I'm here.
But now we need to pick the question you like the most.
Yeah.
Or which made you like, oh my God, oh my God.
I think your questions was better. Yeah.
Touché. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
So, and from organizers' part, we're not like done, so please feel free to chill out and network. So we still have some stuff here to eat and to drink. And if somebody wants to participate in the next meeting, just contact us on LinkedIn, and yeah, we can help you set it up. So
I want to give you this present. It's from Evolution company. Yeah, it's for you.
Okay.
Thank you for your questions.
thank you. Also, I think we'll be contacting you guys through the meetup just to get your feedback on what we can improve in the event, what can be maybe done a bit differently. So we totally value your feedback and want to make it better and better each time. Thank you.